Hello, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making a super simple, super easy, those are synonyms, but also like budget friendly, quick, I think that was the other word that I was trying to think of before, recipe that is going to be vegetarian. However, it's like I say with a lot of recipes, it's going to be a bit of a blank canvas. You can add other things to it if you want to up the protein or if you want to make it not vegetarian. If you want to keep it vegetarian, maybe throwing in some tofu. If you want to make it not vegetarian anymore, well, I was going to say hard-boiled eggs or like kind of like medium boiled. That would still be vegetarian. It wouldn't be vegan, and I think this recipe might be vegan. I'll have to double check the ingredients. This could be one of those. The recipe advertised it as vegetarian, so maybe I'll have to give those a quick gander. But you could also make this obviously not vegetarian by throwing in some like chicken, beef, pork, protein, any protein that you want, can kind of throw that in there. What I have before me is vegetarian, and it smells delicious, so I'm pretty excited about this. Now, this recipe is one of those kind of like had to tweak it a little bit to make it gluten-free, because ramen, like top ramen, that kind of class that you would think of, is not gluten-free. But I found a brand that Costco sells, so that kind of brings the price down a little bit, that is gluten-free. The downside is there's no seasoning packet in that, so I had to kind of find recipes that use ramen noodles or like make like my own broth, stuff like that, to use those. This recipe, however, ditches the seasoning packet, so whichever way you go, you don't need the seasoning packet. And then the other little tweak is just a typical soy sauce. Obviously, I had to I had to find a like tamari or gluten-free soy sauce. And then the hoisin sauce, I think also would have soy sauce in it. So I just bought a gluten-free version of that. Pretty simple to convert to gluten-free recipe. Pretty much if you are living the gluten-free lifestyle, you would just know all the things to substitute, but the base recipe itself is not a gluten-free one. But that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. So with a few tweaks, here we are, and I'm going to stop rambling because I'm getting hungry just from smelling this. So why don't we run through the ingredients and get into cooking. Ramen noodles, soy sauce, hoisin sauce, rice vinegar, brown sugar, sriracha, water, sesame oil, garlic, ginger, and green onions. So first we're going to kind of do some of the prep work. That's going to be to mince up the garlic as well as slice up the green onions. Also, mine, I already have some pre-grated ginger, but if you don't have that kind of tube of it like me, you're going to need to grate some ginger right now. So next up for kind of the prep step, we're going to mix together all of the sauce ingredients. That's soy sauce, hoisin, rice vinegar, brown sugar, sriracha, and then the water. Because I'm lazy and don't want to clean extra dishes, I'm just going to do it all in my measuring cup, but you can use a small bowl if you want to. Why dirty more dishes when you don't need to? Now we're going to get into the actual like cooking phase, even though first up is pretty much just boiling water. We're going to make the ramen noodles. And for that, it's a bit of just follow whatever packaging of like the brand of ramen you bought. But I'm assuming it's going to be some form of boil water, add ramen to water, let cook for a set amount of time, and then thoroughly drain. So the next step, I'm going to be using a wok, but you really could use any pan that you want. I just have a wok, so I'm going to use the wok. And we're going to cook the ginger and the garlic on like medium-high heat using some sesame oil, just kind of looking for it to become fragrant, about a minute. Now we're going to pour in the sauce that we mixed up in the prep step and then let that simmer for about 3 to 4 minutes. Should thicken up a little bit. Now we're going to take the cooked ramen noodles, add that to the sauce that we have simmering, and kind of mix it all up, let everything get coated, and let that cook for about 3 minutes. And then finally, just stir in the sliced green onions. All right, so here we have it. It's looking great, smelling great. Why don't we give it a taste test and see how we did? This is fantastic. I am so pleased with how this came out. Like it has the spice from the sriracha, but then it has the sweetness from the brown sugar, and just this like overall umami from, I'm guessing, like the hoisin and the soy sauce and whatnot. It's just really good. Like it all just blends together so nicely. I was kind of worried about the noodles breaking down completely when I had them in the stovetop after cooking them, because if you overcook them, they're just gonna like fall apart. I don't think I overcooked them, so I'm very happy about that. They definitely did break down a little bit. There's not like long strands of it. And it honestly reminds me a little bit of like lo mein, which is, for me at least, a big deal. I don't think I've mentioned it on video at any point, but like lo mein is one of the big things that I've missed from after I was diagnosed. Kind of stumbling upon this has just really given me some hope for recipes that I can try. Because like one of the big things that I would get going to like a Chinese food restaurant before the glutening was pork lo mein. And so now I might have to try and see if I can tweak this recipe to incorporate pork somehow to see if I can kind of get that same experience again. And if I can, I'm gonna be so thrilled. Overall, in terms of this recipe, super simple, super quick. Probably like, I mean, if you really focus, I feel like you might be able to get this done in like 10 minutes, because you can have the noodles going at the same time as the sauce and whatnot, because you just need the noodles at the very end. So if you manage your time well, you can blast through this pretty quick. Now, if you don't want to be, trying to speed run cooking, I feel like 15-20 minutes is probably the actual range, which great weeknight meal. I don't know how leftovers are going to do with this because of the kind of consistency of the noodles and whatnot. I'll obviously leave some text someplace. Yeah, so it might just end up being like, okay, I'm just one person. Well, depending on your stomach size, it might be like, I'm only going to use 1 packet of ramen noodles versus like 3 or 2 or whatnot. That isn't super helpful information, but hopefully it clicked for somebody. The other thing that I will say is the spice level. Like, I think it's a great level of spice, but if you are not a big fan of spice, maybe, tone down the sriracha a little bit, or if you're really into it, maybe try some different kind of hot sauce that isn't sriracha, something a little more kick, or maybe just more sriracha. But yeah, I highly recommend this. 10 out of 10. It's fantastic. Like, there is nothing directly to this that I would change beyond, I just know my stomach and I will want more food. So just like adding some protein, but like I wouldn't really hold that against the recipe. That's just I need to add a little bit of something for me. I'm struggling with the words today. So hopefully this has inspired you to kind of give this a go. And if not, hopefully you make something else that's just as tasty, because this I'm over the moon with. Like, I'm so happy about this. And because of that pure joy, I'm going to stop talking so that I can go stuff this in my face and be even more happy. And on that note, bye, Mom. Still not dead. See you.